Freedom's greetings, Helldivers. Ervin here, and today we're taking a look at my top 5 tips and tricks for combating the Illuminate in Helldivers 2. The alien scouting party has almost been subdued on Calypso, but even if we do manage to halt this initial force, there are certainly many more Illuminates on the way, and a full-on invasion featuring many more variants of these monsters we've yet to encounter that haven't been seen for a decade. For this reason, we need to arm our Helldivers with the knowledge they need to succeed against this new enemy, both now and into the future. So, let's get into it. First, the most common question I've seen asked in regards to the Illuminate is how to destroy their ships. And when they say ships, they typically mean their spawners, also known as warp drives, that teleport the enemy in from places unknown to the battlefield. These spawners are protected by a very powerful energy shield, technology stolen from the good people of Super Earth, no doubt. And as history favors the victor, that will be the narrative in regards to their shield technology going forward. Remember, they absolutely stole our shield and energy weapon technology. Anyway, these shields are tough, but depending on your gear, they might be giving you the impression they're more durable than they are in reality. You see, their shields are immune to explosive damage and or heavily resistant to it, meaning kinetic force is going to get the job done far better than our energy and explosive weaponry in regards to dropping those shields. And this goes for all of their shield technology, not just their spawners. So pop the shield off using your ballistic weaponry, make your way to the entrance, and fire some handheld ordnance through the door like a grenade or any explosive you'd have used to close a bug hole to shut the facility down. Now, the tricky part here comes in with how there are two doors, and currently only one of them is working. The other is bugged and does not allow explosives to detonate the facility. So if you notice your grenade or ordnance not destroying the warp drive, switch to the other door and try again. Hopefully, this gets resolved soon. If you want to handle these via air support, the Orbital Precision Strike, due to having a high damaging physical shell, with plenty of demo force, can blast through the shield and destroy these spawners easily enough. Same as the Orbital Laser and Orbital Rail Cannon, which both pierce directly through the shields themselves. Remember that these spawners are destroyed via demo force and do not have health pools like the updated Fabricators, meaning air support like the strafing run that absolutely obliterates the automaton bases won't leave a dent in regards to these new space sheet metal covered pods. Next, let's talk about the War of the Worlds tripod, aka the Harvester unit they've got walking around our city streets like they own the place. This enemy can seem tanky at first given its energy shield, and it's actually by far the flimsiest tank unit when compared to any of our enemies across the galaxy. The outer shell is only class 4 armor and has many different gaps in the plating where class 3 weaponry will penetrate for 65% damage, like the joints near the main body at the top of the legs. The eye is also only class 2 armor, also known as light armor, meaning a lot of different weapons are effective at destroying it, but it has a lot of individual pieces with their own health pools that can soak up a lot of your damage in regards to personal weaponry. Now, if you want to make this more difficult than just breaking the shield and dropping an airstrike in its path, then I recommend using weapons like the AMR, HMG, or autocannon, as all of these weapons deal full damage to that leg joint and can take the target down very quickly. I do not recommend aiming for the eye. Even though it seems like the weakest point, the joints on the sides of the main body are weaker and an easier shot to make consistently compared to the eye. If you're willing to use your support slot for an anti-tank weapon, it's also worth mentioning that while a quasar cannon, commando rocket, or expendable anti-tank shot will not result in a dead walker when fired at the main body, one hit to the joint will take the target out without question. I also want to mention that these tripods are easily staggered by any weapon that would stagger a Devastator. This might and probably should change in the future, but weapons like the crossbow are quite good at dealing with them for this reason at the moment from the primary slots. All right, time for a tip in regards to the monoliths. These giant structures are likely the cause of the Illuminate's mind controlling powers, as being within 160 meters of the structure causes your stratagem panel to be filled with undemocratic moon runes and scramble the code once per 3 seconds. Easiest way to deal with this is to wait for the swap to occur, then quickly input the new stratagem code. Do not open the panel and try to immediately do the code you see, as it is likely to change partway through your input or right before you begin. Best to always wait for the 3-second change to occur, then input the new code before it gets the chance to change again. Also, not so much a tip, but I find it fantastic world building that getting close to the monoliths shows a screen effect like the Illuminates are trying to take over your mind. However, we are the light of democracy. Our minds are too democratic to be claimed by the alien, the mutant, or the heretic. As a final tip, on the monoliths, though, the only weaponry that can destroy these are, in fact, hell bombs and mini nukes currently, so don't waste your ordnance on them. Not even the orbital laser can destroy it, although I haven't tested a rail cannon strike. It's probably not a good use case for something like this, as it would require no nearby enemies to deploy. And at that point, you might as well be using a hellbomb soldier. Save the rail cannon for a tripod. Although it doesn't destroy the monolith itself, you can also shut them down by finding the three power supplies scattered nearby and destroying those to deactivate the monolith as well, if you'd rather not deal with the hell bomb. Although, why would you want to lose out on the opportunity to detonate a hell bomb? And as one final note on the monolith, don't touch it. It doesn't end well. Next, the enemy reinforcement dropships have quite a lot of health, able to soak shot from anything lighter than a recoilless rifle or spear. And while you might be able to blow them up using a smaller launcher by firing through the door on the bottom once it opens, this will rarely be worth the trouble overthrowing a frag grenade underneath the very tightly packed reinforcements upon their arrival. There is, however, currently, due to there being very few Illuminate specific side objectives that can spawn, a very high chance of the SEAF anti air emplacement side objective spawning into your map. If you can locate one and get it online, due to the very clear sightlines the city maps provide, they'll take down almost every single dropship the enemy manages to send and easily allowing you to complete the rest of the mission, almost completely unhampered by enemy reinforcements. Talking a bit about our enemies' weaponry next, they are loaded up with a mix of plasma and arc lightning based weapon technology they, again, no doubt stole from our citizens' homes. Their plasma weaponry does very little damage through our armor overall, but those arc weapons the tripod uses at close range and the Tesla towers they deploy around their outposts can catch you off guard and really mess you up. As I talked about months ago in my early tips and tricks guide for the Illuminates, working with the information from the First Galactic War to formulate a plan of attack should they ever return, the arc resistant armor found in the cutting edge warbond is a great counter to these threats should you find them a problem for you. Or, if you want to get in close and personal with the tripods without fear of being microwaved. Other armors of note I'm finding a lot of success with, like the new Urban Legends armor, as the passive grants 20% additional ammo and reload speed to primary weapons, but also currently functions for support weapons without a backpack, giving you a lot more firepower and some very snappy reload time to work with. Both great benefits to have when mowing down droves of the voteless. And for those of you looking to get up close and personal, I can't recommend the Stun Lance and Peak Physique armor enough. Just make sure to be slamming your melee key with this combo and not your primary firebind, as currently only your melee key is benefiting from the bonus damage granted by Peak Physique. Using this lance, you can one-hit kill the voteless and stun lock the enemy overseers to death in close combat, always coming out on top when it comes to 1v1s against their plasma staffs. Speaking of the Overseers, let's talk about their armor and how to counter it. You see, the Illuminate Elites are actually the least tanky of our enemies. They just might appear to be more damage spongy than they are in reality, depending on the type of gear you decide to bring. For example, I first brought a railgun and thought how it was strange it was able to soak up a hit from something cranking out so much damage, when any Devastator taking a hit from it would have folded in an instant. And this has to do with their armor. Although their armor is only light, it's a strippable component that does not interact with their main health pool. And unless your weaponry pierces through this armor, no damage is actually dealt to the enemy inside the armor until the armored part is stripped away, causing them to seem unusually tanky. But we can hard counter this armor system by making sure our loadout includes a weapon capable of explosive damage, which permeates through this armor and deals it directly to their main health pool. Most notably, the Plasma Scorcher, Purifier, and Crossbow, just to name a few. Fitting these weapons into your loadout as a dedicated Overseer answer will have you turning the lights out on these elites before they can even return fire very consistently. And with the extra ammo from our armor and streets littered with extra ammo pickups reminding us that this is indeed one of our Super Earth colonies, you'll have no trouble keeping a steady supply of ammo for those weapons without worrying about supply packs, especially if you pair these with weapons like the Stalwart or MG43 to mow down the voteless, or a melee weapon to make the fight close and personal, saving you on munitions. Now, it wouldn't be an Erevan video without throwing in a stealth tip, right? Basically, the Illuminates are damn near blind, it feels like, making them very easy to maneuver around as long as you can use the verticality of the cityscape via the jump pack. and only their watchers are capable of calling in reinforcements, making this faction very stealth viable. Many of our tips and tricks on the automatons will work just fine against this faction, if not currently far easier. But I will say that fighting them straight up has been, at least for me, far more fun at the moment. It just might be good to get some practice in maneuvering around this enemy for when the invasion fleet finally shows up, bringing the other half of their enemy variants. At that point, the guns blazing strategy might not hold up quite as well, and we'll have to get back to the guerrilla warfare. Until then, make sure to tag the Watchers anytime you see them, or stay out of their line of sight, and you'll never need to worry about the reinforcement calls. Another quick mention before we close it out here. I want to say that the Tesla towers are destroyed through demo force, meaning you want to use an explosive weapon to get rid of them. That's why they're able to soak your MG fire. Stop shooting them with ballistic weapons. Just blow them up with an explosive if you really want to get rid of them, or avoid them. But sometimes you can't, so blow them up. That's going to do it for my first Illuminate tips and tricks. I'm sure this won't be the last of these videos I make on this new faction, as they are still extremely new and we're learning more every day. That being said, it's important to remember that although the Illuminate seem a bit easy to handle right now, over half of their faction's units have yet to arrive, and there is almost certainly a main invasion force on the way that we need to prepare ourselves for. So hopefully this video has helped you grasp the basics of combating this new threat, and we'll be revisiting this topic when the invasion begins in full. Thank you to my coffee supporters for helping to keep the channel going, and thank you for watching till the end. I'll see you next time.
Are there no cars?
Fight back!
Keep swinging.
Fight back!
Keep swinging.
Fight back!